We are ready to have some heated conversation about sex.
Heated in every sense.
In every
It's gonna be hot,
Yeah.
really hot.
It's gonna be very hot.
Especially for Saro. Look
So-
at his face.
Yeah, I'm already getting
This
red.
is this is his favorite subject.
I didn't know it was going to be so hot. Can we just have a regular conversation about sex? Why does it have to be hot? I don't know.
Because sex is always hot.
Okay.
I had to go through this analysis when I moved to the States. It's very paradoxical because the biggest production pornography comes from the US.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
it's weird.
and and when you see the consumption of sex and pornography
Yeah.
in the US, graphics are off the roof, and
Right.
it's weird.
Yeah.
But you cannot openly talk about sex. You uncomfortable with masturbation because you felt that you were doing something wrong?
Yeah, I grew up thinking it was a sin.
Sex outside, like it was the same for me, was sex outside marriage was a sin.
Just a general idea of morality, which is like, as long as you're not hurting someone, then it's all fair game, I think.
But
in
some
my
people
mind.
like to be hurt when they are doing sex.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think I
I'm
just
just
mean,
teasing you.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's a thing. That's right.
Welcome back to another episode of our second season of Coffee, Matcha Soul. And today we are at Gray's Cafe.
Thank you, Gray.
And
Thank you.
we are ready to have some heated conversation about sex.
Heated
not?
in every sense.
In every-
It's gonna be hot,
Yeah.
really
It's
hot.
gonna be very hot.
Especially for Saro. Look at his face.
Yeah, I'm already getting
This
red.
is this is his favorite subject.
I didn't know it was going to be so hot. Can we just have a regular conversation about sex? Why does it have to be hot? I don't know.
Because sex is always hot.
Okay. Well,
So yes, that's our subject for today. And I don't know who has a question to open up this debate.
Well, it's so interesting because the other day we were having a conversation about the subject, right?
Yeah,
And we were talking about two things that to me are intriguing and they're so interesting. The first one has to do with cultural. Is our cultural background a predetermination of how we understand sex and sexual relationships or not?
100%.
That's one question I have. And the second, that's more than a question, it's a statement or an appreciation, is how different is the definition of sex or sexual relationships nowadays in the world we live on, and are we tabooing the subject? Is it full of taboos and prejudgment or not? That would be the start.
And how has it changed with generations?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
think every generation has a totally different behavior around sex.
Yeah.
Like I'm very curious with Gen Z kids because it's a totally different approach. I don't know that much about it, but it tells you how, I'm not gonna call it how culture, how your society. Going back to your first question, how your experiences.
I was just gonna say that. Let's go back to the first question,
Yeah.
like cultural background. Do you feel that you,
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah?
100%. It's
yeah. No, I think there's no doubt that your understanding of how you feel about sex and what you think is right and wrong and the morality of sex is totally going to be determined by the cultural context, like what culture you were raised in, what generation you're from, and how each generation and culture thinks about the morality and the ethics of sex. Not that, I mean, if you ask me personally, what do I think? I don't know that there should be any moral limitations to sex other than, just a general idea of morality, which is like, as long as you're not hurting someone, then it's all fair game, I think.
But some people like to be hurt when they are doing sex.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think I
I'm
just
just
mean,
teasing you.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's a thing. That's right. And you can ask, like, well, what's the morality of that if you're a sadomasochist and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah.
But if both parties are consensual and they're engaging in this activity, whether it's sadomasochism, with the understanding that they're doing it so that they both get enjoyment out of it, there's no harm. So, that's my general outtake or view on sex. I think in general, people feel that way, except depending on your cultural background. I think, did we talk about this last time? Or maybe I didn't air it, but like, well, shit, do I even want to air this? But, I grew up Christian. And I have to say, growing up Christian, I was very, very uncomfortable with masturbation for a very long time.
Were you uncomfortable with masturbation because you felt that you were doing something wrong? Or?
Yeah.
It was a sin, or
Yeah, it was a sin.
Yeah. I grew up thinking it was a sin.
sex outside. Like it was the same for me. Was sex outside marriage was a sin. So you grow up with this, guilt if you do it outside marriage, or that was also my experience when I was very young. It took me a while to just, disassociate from the religious standpoint and the views. Yeah.
So
religious
with
views.
your, and I don't know how comfortable we felt talking about this, but with your first boyfriend, Zair, when you finally engaged in sex, you felt very guilty?
So I think in my case it was different, because when I finally engaged in sex is because I had let go of the guilt, that I had about it. Does that make sense? I was guilty I felt guilt before that, but and that's why I wouldn't do it, right? But then when I kind of like disattached from that aspect of religion and many others, then I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. I mean, to me, it's like, it's natural, it's good, it's not something that, I'm not like ruling my life based on a Bible that happened so many years ago, where kids were getting married at 12 years old, women. So that's things evolve, right? And my point of view about it evolved, and so I wasn't guilty after I did it, but I was guilty before daring to do it for the first time.
It's so interesting.
Did you have any guilt?
Now that you're talking about like masturbation, I remember when I was a kid, I was like, the first time I experienced something like that, I felt there was a level of guilt because I didn't know what it was, basically. And then I started having conversations with my friends, and they were all like, "Oh, this is normal. This is actually kind of cool." And I'm like, "Okay."
Do you recall if the guilt came from your religious upbringing or something? Where did that guilt
I think
come
it
from?
more from cultural upbringings than religious.
Okay.
Because my family, I grew up in this Catholic environment, but my family is not very, besides my great-grandmother or my grandmother, who, well, even them, I don't consider them, or I didn't consider them at the time as a very orthodox Catholics. And my parents, they both are very open-minded. They are artists.
Yeah.
I grew up in this environment where it was, having open conversations about even sex was, it was natural.
Oh, so you had open...
In
that's
Mexico,
great.
which is...
Did you ever had with your parents?
No. I had no open conversations about sex.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, it was not like we were having conversations about sex every day, at lunch. But if we wanted to have that conversation, we could have that conversation.
That's great.
And it was very natural. I remember, for instance, I mean, there was nothing wrong about being naked at home, you know, or having. I remember I was a kid and I was having showers or taking showers with my parents, both, and everybody was naked. My father was a painter, right?
Yeah.
Is a painter to this day. And I remember when I was like 6, 7 years old, he took me to this class and they were, you know, painting a naked woman. And I was like,
Wow.
I was mesmerized by the fact. And then he explained to me, he said, listen, this is the human body's natural, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. So I grew up in a very open-minded environment.
That's great.
However, the culture that I was surrounded by when I was living in Mexico, Mexico is a country that's being ruled by Catholicism,
Catholicism.
right? So,
right.
And Christianity. So my environment was different. It was, I remember when I moved to Cuba when I was 14 years old. Cuba, in my opinion, is a way more open environment or culture when it comes to sexual relationships. And the approach, the whole approach is different. Like, for instance, basic stuff like flirting or paying a compliment is so well taken, right? It's so well taken by men and women.
Okay.
It's part of the culture.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong in telling someone, you are beautiful today, you look great. I mean, you're hot, you know?
The same in Venezuela.
It's kind of the same thing in
the
Venezuela
same.
and in many other countries. Funny enough, yesterday I was having a conversation with a friend of ours from Venezuela.
Okay.
He's an art director and we just work together. He's a man, right? And he's 40s. And he was telling me yesterday, listen, I felt devalued when I moved to the States because here in the States, no women will pay you a compliment. And they wouldn't even look at you. And that affected me, he said.
Wow.
You know, that affected my masculinity. When I was living in Ecuador, he's from Ecuador, he's like, all women in the street will tell me, oh my God, look, not all women, but you know, I will get that feedback. And that was nice.
Yeah.
And I remember you said the same that.
I miss that from time, like when I go back to Venezuela and there is like a compliment on the street, I like it. If it's not something rude or nasty or if it's just like, I like it and I miss it because here is like
it's almost like an offense in the American
it's not
society.
Politically correct.
It is
right?
not politically correct.
But we grow up with this. I mean, I'm not saying that every compliment or every comment is good because that is not true. But there are many that come from a nice place, from a place of flirting, from a place of acknowledging you're good looking to me, and I think I want to tell you, I want to let you know, you know, just like here, I compliment women on the street, like with
you do
with their clothing or their taste, you know, and I always say like, nice shirt, nice this, right? But it's hard to do it. You cannot do it on a physical feature, right? It's on your clothing, on your on something that does not be because because it's complicated.
It's a very sensitive subject
and
nowadays.
now it's complicated everywhere, right? Because maybe you come from a good place, and you say, I like those pounds, and then it's you know you can. Yeah,
but I feel that even today nowadays, you know, and things have been changing and everything. Anytime I go back to places like Cuba or Colombia or even Mexico, I don't, you know, it's a different perception, you know, like clear example, Cuba. Cuba is a place that's a very straightforward communication when it comes to attraction, sexual attraction. So actually, if it's the other way around. If you feel attracted to somebody and you don't express that, it's almost like an offense. It's taken as an offense, and vice versa.
Interesting.
You know, so and nobody gets, unless you're saying something very vulgar, like, you know, like something out of place, but nobody will get offended if you know, it's rare to see a Cuban woman getting offended if you say something nice in the street to her. Yeah. Even if that's, I've seen this thousands of times. All guys, you know, like old grandpa style, right? Yeah. Sitting in the streets in Cuba, and there's a beautiful lady passing by, and they would go like, "Oh my God, look at this! You're the representation of beauty," and this and that, and they smile. They feel good about it. They play with it, right? An old guy would do that here.
Cultural,
but that's what I'm saying. It's a cultural thing.
It is.
If an old guy would do that here in the streets of New York, you know, to a young lady, it would be offensive.
It would be offensive.
Really rude, right?
So would you say that, or how do you see the differences between, let's say, people from Latin America and people from the US when it comes to their sexuality and their morality towards sex? Do you think there's a difference in how?
I think there is a difference in the perception of it.
Well, we get into heated debates about this. You get so mad at me because what do you say that we here in the US overthink things? Is that what you often tell me?
I mean, once again, and I'm saying this, you know, it's coming from a very respectful analysis, right? Because I had to go through this analysis when I moved to the States, and when I integrated myself into society, right? It's very paradoxical because the biggest production pornography comes from the US.
Yeah.
And
it's weird.
And you know, and when you see the consumption of sex and pornography in the US, graphics are off the roof, and it's weird. Yeah. But you cannot openly talk about sex. Yeah. Or it's you know, paying a compliment to somebody is mistaken, you know. But consuming pornography or producing pornography is not mistaken. So it's a weird combination that it took me a while to understand the boundaries and respect them, because, you know, obviously, you know, I am part of the society. But it was coming from a place like Mexico or Cuba or Colombia. To me, was so weird.
So I can help explain a little bit about that cultural difference, right? Because we think of like culture regional, but culture is also something that happens over time. And so the reason our sexuality is so repressed, and through that repression you get something as extreme as porn, is that because the U.S. Used to be very Protestant, very Christian, Protestant, evangelical, and Puritan. We come from Puritans, right? And so everything was buttoned up. Sexuality was something you kept hidden. So even when you were telling that story about how as a child you'd walk around naked and how your parents showed you a naked woman in an art gallery or something, like when you were a kid, I was a little surprised. I was like, I think it's great, by the way. I love it. I wish I had that background, but me being born here and raised here, and even though my family is a different type of Christian, we're Orthodox Christians, but still, my parents come from Bulgaria. They come kind of from a communist cultural background, and plus the Armenian Orthodox. So there's a repressiveness in our home. You don't walk around naked. You're always dressed up. You know, you get dressed in the morning and you're always dressed up. You don't run around naked. That was not acceptable. So I think the same is true here in American culture until the 60s and 70s, where there was this revolution. Kind of an aggressive revolution that pushed back against that stuff. And so then sexuality then started becoming more free, but it wasn't still totally open. And then you had porn that was like feeding sexual because we all have desires and needs, but if you can't get that, let's say, comfortably, then you have to get it somewhere else. And sex is still something thought to be done in darkness
Behind
and
doors.
secrecy,
Yeah.
right?
But you know what's interesting? When I was in Venezuela, the perception that I had, that the majority of people had about the U.S. is that the U.S. is very like open-minded and very
Yes.
like,
Sexually free.
wild. They go crazy.
It is true.
They,
It is
they
true.
do the unimaginable. That like those guys are like,
Wild.
for good and for bad, right? Like regarding sex.
That is true.
And it's very interesting because when I moved in, then you start noticing all these historical elements that you mentioned. All there is liberal people, but there is a big conservative group
Yeah.
that is totally the opposite.
Yeah.
It's even more conservative than in
Yeah.
our countries. That Protestants and Christians and Catholics in our countries, and then you start seeing like, well, it's just advertising, right? It's some minor advertising.
It is advertising. Sex sells.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
but it's interesting because the state has that,
I think I could see.
Reputation.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have that reputation,
Yeah.
and it's because, as you say, there's so many different cultures in the United States.
Yeah.
It's so big that we have
Yeah.
one group that is like still Christian conservative that don't go as wild, and then we have another more,
Yeah.
let's say, modern liberal. I don't want to use the word modern. Let's just say
Yeah.
more liberal values that are
Yeah.
like open to sexuality
Yeah.
and then you have maybe what you see of the U.S. It's also what you see of the U.S. on TV, and
On
you
TV,
think
yeah,
of spring
yeah.
break, and you think about how
Yeah.
wild and crazy Americans are when we party in spring break. And yeah,
That's really interesting now that you mentioned spring break, because now the perception that we all have about spring break
That's
as
so
well
true,
is
yeah.
that
That's it.
you guys are not allowed to do anything. Like you are like really, really, really like
strict
strict.
until spring break.
No,
Oh.
the moment these kids have the opportunity
Yeah.
to be free,
Yeah.
they don't know how to behave.
Yeah.
They cannot control themselves.
Yeah, I remember.
And they-
Yes, that is true.
You
That
know
is
what
true.
I mean?
I remember. I was
think that's right.
shooting. I was shooting a soap opera in Mexico when I was like,
What's so funny about that? It's wonderful.
which
But
is
yes.
no, because I remember I was like, we were shooting Cancun,
Yeah.
and this is
Cancun.
I don't know how many years ago, but we were super young and whatever, right? And we're all Latinos, right? And the cast and the crew was very open-minded and whatever, Nobody has and we're actors, so we're fine, right? But we're shooting Cancun in the spring. And it's spring breaker season.
Yeah.
And what we witnessed was so shocking in that hotel where we were staying that we Latinos, we were like, oh my God, these guys are wild, right? And she's right. So that creates a different opinion, of the
Yeah.
American culture. And then when you
Yeah.
come here, you realize that there are so many rules, and especially nowadays, you gotta be politically correct. You got to be very careful with your behavior, with everything you say, everything you do. Let me just give you a different example, right? When I was living in Colombia, I was making movies in Colombia and whatever. I remember the top magazine that will make every single actress, famous actress, right?
Yeah.
Become like the next level star.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it was called Don Juan. Right.
One.
And
Okay.
every actress, every television actress or film actress in Colombia wanted to be in Don Juan, wanted to be like in the front page and special articles in Don Juan.
Okay.
That's a magazine where you had to be naked.
Wow.
So and that was like the top ranked,
Fully naked?
fully
Nude,
naked.
nude?
Well, it was like
Briefs?
at least top.
At least top.
At least,
Wow.
right?
Men and women.
Men and women.
Wow.
Yeah, both. So that was like the top rank.
And I'm sorry to.
Which I'm not like I don't like applaud that. I think that's an extreme that it's
done
not
once,
cool.
But it tells you culturally speaking, it tells you of how the
Open,
perception
accepted.
and the acceptance is. Imagine if here in the States, if the top ranked actresses were fighting to get on the front page of a Playboy,
But
magazine.
maybe
you
not
know?
Playboy.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like. I don't like that comparison because I think it's misguiding. I think also, particularly in Colombia, that's a place where women struggle a lot because there is a lot of like there. First of all, there is a culture of sex trafficking in Colombia that's really huge.
Oh.
And I think women struggle a lot with all these like womenization, and everything.
Sexualization of women.
Yeah, the market, the market of the magazine, and that is not necessarily a good thing. So I wouldn't put it as
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
as
not saying that it's a good thing.
like it's not like women are all like actresses were all dying to go there because they are so open and happy about their sexuality. No,
they had
I
to.
mean,
But
it's
there
the
was a
rules.
thing. I mean, I remember it
But
was
it's
a thing.
It's because it's how the society is built. I'm not, but again, I'm not. I wouldn't put it as something positive.
Okay.
I mean, it really
No.
sucks that you have to you want as a woman
To be on
to be
that.
on that.
It sucks that you
I
feel
part
that.
of
agree. I mean,
the-
I'm not saying it. I mean, I'm not judging absolutely nothing, right?
But you're saying it's more
but
accepted
it's
culturally
just like
there.
Let me give you a different example, right? The first time I was shooting a movie in California, I'm shooting the movie with my parents, right? And I was producing and directing the movie and whatever, and then we're throwing a rap party with all the crew, and we played salsa music. And I started dancing with somebody from the crew, right? And she was very uncomfortable with the salsa dancing. And I realized,
American woman.
American woman. And I realized that she was feeling uncomfortable. And I said, let me dance with my mom. And then my mom and I dance salsa. The way you dance salsa.
Yeah.
Touching, grabbing, getting really close.
Yeah.
It's a sexy dance.
Yeah.
And, and everybody noticed that it was natural.
Yeah.
I was doing it with my mom.
Right.
There is no implications whatsoever. It's a natural thing. For many people, those wires are completely disconnected because they may feel that if you go to a salsa dance club, many people just go there to dance and they touch and it's super sexy and whatever. And you finish the dance and you go like, nice to meet you, and you go to have your drink with your friends.
So I'm going to tie back kind of these 2 points and Zair's to something so like, and also connected to America. And so let's say celebrities here in America, they're not clamoring to go, although some they do to get famous, they do things like that, but they're not going on Playboy necessarily, but they'll go on like Vanity Fair. And when they get naked, but they still cover up, right? Like I don't think you've seen
similar in Colombia, yeah.
similar in Colombia.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
even though they're naked,
Their beauty.
their beauty
They're not on the
art,
porn
they're
side.
not on the porn
Yeah.
side. Okay, fine. So we're talking about that level.
Yeah.
But to Zair's point that let's say in Colombia, women are being sexualized for marketing purposes and they feel forced, so they're not necessarily excited to do that. So now tying back to what's happening here, right? And the cultural differences in terms of your feeling like you can pay a woman a compliment on the street here. So, like that movement now to where we're not like shouting at women on the street and stuff, it is so that women feel safe and not sexualized, right? I mean, that's where the movement has gotten us to today.
Yeah.
That's why, and I was thinking earlier about like, okay, I want to engage with people and I want to pay compliments. And so, and it's not it's actually because I want to get out of my uncomfort zone. My place of comfort is not engaging with people. I'm an introvert and stuff. But I found in situations, whether it's in a cafe or dropping off, where I see something nice on a woman, like let's say really nice, like pink hair. I love the color pink, or a really cool tattoo. I'll feel like, okay, maybe I could pay a woman a compliment about something that relates to their character or something, but I won't sexualize them. I think that's the cutoff, right? So that's why I won't talk about how good they look. I'll say I would say something like, oh, I really love that outfit you have, or I love what you're doing with your hair. That's so cool, that pink color, but I won't, that's as far as I would go.
But you wouldn't, like, would it be politically incorrect to say, hey, I just want to say you're beautiful, without saying your t-shirt is amazing?
Yeah, I would be.
That would be, but
I would be very cautious about doing that, especially for me, because then automatically it'll come off like I'm hitting on them. If I don't want to hit on a woman.
But of course, but if you're hitting on her, would you?
If I am hitting on, no, if my intent is to hit on a woman,
I think it wouldn't be misinterpreted as an offense to say hey, you're beautiful.
I don't know. I will have to open this sort of audience. I need like an American woman to tell me.
That I believe is very.
We haven't talked about it, but I think also generational, it means something different.
Yeah.
And I think Gen Z or less they feel it more. Everything is more of an offense for them, maybe because they're coming from this, generation of like they are with this movement, right? So that will transform into something else in the future.
Maybe.
Whereas, like, probably people from previous generations are more okay with
maybe, but
comments. I don't know.
I'm telling you something. The amount of compliments that I pay to all my beautiful old ladies in the building. You have in America, in the US, in my building, every day, and they take it so well, and they love it. And I see my neighbors, old ladies, and every day I go, my God, you're so beautiful. I love you. I hug them, and they love it.
That's okay. I think you're being nice, and you're paying
but what I'm saying is that.
But you're not sexualizing them when you're saying that, right?
But then what? See, I think that's where there's a very fine line.
Yeah.
Because then if you say to a young woman, oh my God, you're so beautiful, then you're sexualizing. That's a question.
Yeah.
In the nowadays context.
That's what I was going to say. If you were older than them, that might be a problem.
Yeah.
Right? But because you're the young kid,
but
you're cute when you tell me
when
you tell me as an older woman
Yeah.
those words, but you're younger, you're cute.
Yeah.
But if it was a guy older than you, this guy is nasty.
You know what?
I get it.
And
I get it.
it's unfair. It's
Actually, it is fair though, because that I think the difference is the power dynamics. When you're younger than a woman and you're complimenting them, it's safer than if you're older.
But why would that
I think people take it that way, maybe.
But it makes no sense.
It's a taboo, in my opinion. I'm not saying, I think that, thinking, and especially if you're saying something as polite as you are beautiful, you look beautiful. You're not implying anything. You're not saying, I want to take you today, or right. You see what I'm saying? You're not saying, oh my God, you're so hot, or look at. No, you're saying you're beautiful. I think that should be. I think that we need to, as a culture, as a society, we also have to realize when there is something coming from good heart, a nice compliment. That's nothing.
Intuition, probably.
That's probably intuition or sense, or learning how to read the room, or how to read the intention.
I would be scared to pay a young woman a compliment like that, because I would think they would take it as me hitting on them, and that because of the age difference and the power dynamics.
So you see, but tapping on that, is it affecting human relationships? Or not? Is the taboo and the misconception of sex or, you know, human relationships has been affected by the new tendency or of whatever is moral, like morally correct.
So the question is, because this concern about the power dynamics, is it affecting how our...
Like those conceptions of what should be or what is politically correct or morally correct are affecting human relationships nowadays? Yes or no?
Is it affecting human... you're saying it's affecting human relationships nowadays because our concern for how morally correct certain behavior is limiting us from interacting with each other.
Yeah. Why is it that in a chat, right, or in a platform, nowadays people feel safe to say, I like you, I want you, I whatever.
I hate
thought
you,
you were
I
gonna
want
say
to
hate
kill
you.
you,
I
or
thought you know,
everything.
or you feel safe hitting on someone versus in person saying something as polite as you look beautiful.
Well, but the reality is, I mean, you shouldn't be able to say whatever you want online anyway. You shouldn't be,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Like that's not morally correct to be hateful online. It's still hate.
But again, don't you feel that is also affecting human relationships? How do you show in the nowadays world what's the right way to show attraction?
Well, we have set parameters now, like in this society where we live right now. I'm not saying I agree with that or not. It's just what it is. Before, back in the day, we would go to a bar and we can meet somebody and hang out and hook up with somebody or just try and be rejected, whatever that is. All the ways in which, you know, young people would connect any kind of, like, at any age, right? Right now, we go to the app and we do the same things we were doing at the bar, but in the app. But the same people who are going to the apps, they're not doing it in the bar, because at the bar it's now incorrect and it's not good. In the app it's good. It's the same thing. It's just like now society has dictated that this is the way where you can flirt on people, and then here you have to behave or you are sexually harassing somebody, or you know, or might fall into trouble.
Well, the difference there with the apps, if you're talking about dating apps,
Yes, dating apps.
Well, then at least there, when you're meeting someone in a dating app, you know that both your intentions are to meet and date and flirt. Right? Like you're going there specifically with that in mind. Whereas when you're in a bar, or let's say in a restaurant or something, and someone wants to be left alone, like they didn't go there to get picked up or hit on, right? Mm-hmm. So now I will say that Gen Z, there's been a lot of reports about Gen Z getting off the apps and wanting that live connection and meeting people outside the apps, because actually the apps aren't great for dating anyway. Like there's a lot of issues with dating, and maybe that's another topic. But what I'll say about this, how do we have this interaction? The positive thing about like every woman should be able to feel safe in what they do in their life, in the world, like, and not feel harassed, right? Like, so we agree that should be like a normal. So now I think if you want to engage with a woman, maybe you don't do it. Maybe the first thing isn't to say how beautiful you are. Maybe the first thing is to just strike up a conversation and get to know them. And
see, I don't think that.
But I think we're going totally opposite, because you are implying, and this is how we are wired. Like this is how it's not right. You are implying that if I say, or if he says you are beautiful, it means that I want to stay there and hook up with you and harass you.
That you're hitting.
And I can just say you are beautiful and move on.
Yeah,
and that's it.
But
you have a preconception that then he's gonna start a conversation, or I'm gonna start a conversation with a guy.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna try to hook up with him because I'm saying you are like so attractive. Or maybe I don't want to do that. I'm just saying it and moving on.
I mean, she showed me the other day a meme, and it was so funny because it is true, of a neighbor just walking around with a dog, and the guy sees the female neighbor, and he's like, oh, you look so nice today, fresh, whatever, something nice. It wasn't even like, and she's like, thank you. And then the guy goes, "Well, yeah, my wife told me," and then she was getting angry. It's like, you cannot be nice with me if you're not single, whatever, if if you're married.
That happened in front of you?
No,
really?
that was a meme
Oh,
on
a meme, a
social
meme.
media. But
Okay,
but we
okay.
were laughing because, I feel that happens nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of misconception, and I think that to close it off, because I think we just as a closing statement,
Yeah.
I think we should go back to the basics of human relationships. I think that we have been making everything way more complicated. I think that sometimes I think that not only women have to feel safe in any environment, but also men, but also the gay community, but also, everyone.
Every human being.
Every human being has to be safe.
Yeah.
And every human being has the right to say, thank you, but no,
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
be
interested.
respected. Yeah.
And be respected.
Yeah.
Or thank you, but yes.
Yeah.
And I think that there's nothing wrong in paying compliments or saying beautiful things, and we should appreciate that a little bit more, because sometimes we're also missing opportunities for human connections.
Yeah.
That's what I think, and sometimes it might not even imply any sexual activity. Like, I remember also having a conversation with somebody who was telling me, this lady, she came to Latin America, and she's like, oh my God, everybody flirts in Latin America. And it's like, no, that's who we are. We're
they're
not
just nice.
flirting with
They're
you.
just
We're
being
nice
nice.
people. We're being nice. We're just smiling sometimes, and we're just
love that. Everyone
playing,
flirts.
and she's like, no, but it feels like flirting.
It's like we had a friend who came home the other day and said, like, I think the manager at my gym is flirting with me. And he's like, why? He's too nice. And I said, you cannot be nice then, because then you people
It's
think
so
you're
funny.
flirting.
Yes,
That
I got-
happened to
You
me.
know.
It actually happened to me.
It's like,
It was
you
one
want
day.
people to be rude.
I
This
was-
city's so rude. You
Here's
want
New
people
York.
nice.
Yeah,
Here's,
no.
here's a funny story, right? This is years ago. We were going to a gym in Jersey, and I was super nice with all the guys, and the Cuban way to say hello sometimes in the
Yes.
distance is just like, winking, right? So I would see somebody out there, and I would go like, or, and then one day I come with her, right,
Yeah.
to the gym, and the manager is like, "You're not gay?" And I'm like, "No." And the guy's like, "Well, everybody here, we were talking about you because we all thought that you were hitting on us because you were going like," and I'm like, "Bro, I was saying hello to you. I was going, but no, for that." The codification of that
It's culture.
Yeah, it's culture,
but that's what I'm saying.
It's
Like,
culture.
I think my closing statement was
Your
that.
second
What's yours?
closest.
What's yours?
My closing statement is I agree we should all live in a world where we can all feel safe. I think the movement towards, let's say, being more reserved about paying compliments came out of a good place, because
Yeah.
before, women would get whistled and hollered at and they didn't feel safe. And so there was a movement against that behavior. And I'll say also, like, yeah, I mean, I would, right now, I would feel uncomfortable, like, paying a woman a compliment on their looks, just randomly. I would find another way to be nice and pleasant, but not that way right now. I don't know, that's just what it is. It may change, it may shift back. But yeah, safety for everyone, that I'm with you. I'm on board with that.
Well, I have to first and foremost say that I totally am with women 100%, and we have never had it easier than men. We
Yeah.
have always have been,
Yeah. Objectified.
abused in the power, and that's a reality. That is an undeniable reality.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think I agree with having like rules that restrict and that protects us and that help us feel safe. And I'm not against that at all. I think that's necessary and very, very important. And what I'm talking about is not on the, nasty comments, and I'm not talking about the
Great.
bad situations, the abuse,
Yeah.
objectification of women. I'm not talking about it. We all know that's bad and that must not happen. I'm just
Yeah.
talking about how we like bringing those things to day-to-day life and satanizing like the whole environment.
Right.
Like it's like saying I'm always against like all the generalizations, like saying all men are bad or comments
Sure.
are bad.
Sure,
You know,
sure,
all
sure.
situations. I mean, no.
Yeah.
And I think we have to go back to our intuition and common sense. No
Yeah.
one, no, like, when people are not meant to offend you or to mean something bad, but just to get away of a little bit of the status quo of like everything's bad and I'm going to just like hate it or
Yeah.
or go against it. No, because I do believe that our human connection gets affected. I do believe that, and again, I agree with you, that's another subject, but I think apps are not necessarily making it easier,
Yeah.
No,
like
agree.
dating apps. And it's a struggle that I see with my friends that are single every day, my
it's hard.
girlfriends that are
Yeah.
single.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we have to go back to our intuition and to
Yeah.
understand that not everything is black and white in life, and let's just try to create more, or try to just create more human connections and interactions. You don't have to say you're beautiful. You can just have a conversation,
Yeah.
and again, and just trying to understand that not every human interaction has to be related with sexuality.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Yeah.
that would be my biggest
agree.
takeaway.
I agree. I
If
agree.
we can walk the world thinking that a
Yeah.
human interaction is just a human interaction, we're going to be more fulfilled and happy in the
Yeah.
overall term.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. I don't know. We didn't end up talking much about sex, but we talked about flirting more than anything.
Yeah.
But maybe that'll be another conversation
can
about
do
It
Yeah.
will. Yeah.
Let's see.
All right. Great.
All right.
Okay. Good.